Hello everyone and welcome back to La Vida Futbol. Today we're going to start the book series. The book series is basically a summary or kind of a review of books that I read, and then I share with you what I think and essentially either recommend or not recommend. But a lot of the times it's going to be books that I handpicked myself. Hopefully you guys find these books to be interesting as well. The first book of the series is the Pep Guardiola, Another Way of Winning, the biography by Guillem Balague. The book is separated into 4 parts, and those 4 parts are basically essentially later separated into 2 separate books. So part 1 is why did he have to leave? In this section, Mr. Balague discusses the reasons why Pep Guardiola decided to move away from FC Barcelona. And the message that I received was that Mr. Pep Guardiola was simply just tired. He was exhausted. His body had endured so much. His brain had exhausted so much energy that it was simply time to move on. It was simply time for him to get some rest. Another thing was that Mr. Pep Guardiola didn't want to make things worse. So he actually felt that it would have been a risk for him to have stayed. So in the book, he says, it would have been a risk for me to continue because we would have hurt each other. I think a lot of you all, and I would never forgive myself. So he left during a time where he felt that he can still keep, a strong relationship with a lot of those players. And as a coach, you will have times where your relationships may not be as strong as you would like them. And Mr. Pep Guardiola decided to kind of move on before those things or those relationships got worse. So part 2 is from Sant Pedor Square to the Camp Nou dugout. And this part focuses on Pep Guardiola's childhood years, how he started at FC Barcelona and how he essentially progressed kind of as a leader for the club. So at age 11, he tried out for the football team, and he received a call from FC Barcelona. And at the time, his father decided that it was too soon. He felt that that the young Pep Guardiola wasn't ready for this dramatic change in his life. So then 2 years later, Pep Guardiola kind of felt that his hopes of becoming a professional footballer were kind of dwindling down. And during this time, FC Barcelona decided to call back and give him another shot. He ended up taking it, and the rest is history. So part 3 is Pep, the manager. And in this section, it talks about the 6 championships in 1 calendar year. And it also talks about some difficulties that he had, more so with strikers such as Thierry Henry, Eto'o, and Ibrahimovic, and a lot of the collisions that were going on there, simply because the Pep Guardiola style were kind of adapted towards a different player, and that player was Messi. So he gave Messi a lot of responsibility, but a lot of that responsibility was actually also demanded from Messi. So Messi was essentially telling him that he wanted to play in this position, that he wanted to have the ball, he wanted to be an important part of the game. And Pep Guardiola noticed that essentially he was a very special player, and that he had so much potential and so much a big future ahead of him, that he allowed it. That was a big conflict that he was kind of dealing with as a manager. Another thing that he was dealing with as a manager, at least during his time at FC Barcelona, was Jose Mourinho, who ended up being a bit of a menace to him, who caused a lot of issues outside of football. So he would kind of start rumors. He would initiate some very negative comments and conspiracy theories, and it was a bit too much for Pep Guardiola, and it became a bit of an issue for him as well, just because he had to focus not necessarily with with things regarding the game, which was essentially all that he wanted. Which also seems to be kind of a theme throughout the book. Good. So part 4 is Pep Guardiola: The Quest Continues. So in this part of the book, the book focuses on Pep Guardiola's life, essentially away from Barcelona. Part 4 is where it goes into detail, a little bit more detail in regards to what was happening at Bayern Munich, and it was very interesting. So Pep Guardiola was at times, very happy that he was coaching, and that all he had to focus on was coaching. But he was also a little bit upset about how lack of control he had in regards to which players come in and out. Well, that was an agreement that they had come up with previously, and Pep Guardiola essentially had agreed to him being simply a coach, and that the club will focus on, bringing some players in, selling some players, so on and so forth. It became a point where it was difficult for Pep Guardiola to kind of, do the things he wanted to do with the players at his disposal. And essentially, it wasn't until his 3rd year that he was actually able to kind of impose himself and impose his ideas, his style, and his way of playing. One thing that was kind of handicapping Pep Guardiola throughout his 3-year stint at Bayern was the fact that the fans felt that he was only there for a job. And they felt to some extent that he failed, because after having such a successful year at FC Barcelona, they were actually expecting a Champions League title. That was a lot to ask for. In those 3 years, Pep Guardiola and his Bayern team were knocked out during the semifinals of the Champions League, and essentially people felt that his time at Bayern Munich was a failure. But he did win 7 titles during his time there, and essentially also successful. After that, the book goes into a little bit into his decision to go to Manchester City. There were other teams that were interested in him during that time. He decided to go to Manchester City because there was a lot of people who were there who understood his playing style, who understood his ideas, and he didn't have to explain things to them. And that was something that he liked. That's pretty much the book right there. So I found the book to be quite good. I enjoyed it. It was a very interesting process. There's a lot of examples of leadership. There's a lot of things that he had to overcome throughout the book. So if you like this summary and this review, hit the like button. If you're interested in purchasing this book, I have linked it in the description section below. You don't have to click on it, but just know that if you do, it'll support this channel. I have also linked the channel to Mr. Guillem Balague. He also has a YouTube channel, so that's going to be in the description section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you want to continue learning with La Vida Futbol, hit subscribe. And if you guys have any ideas or recommendations for future books for this book series, comment below. A little preview for the next book is The Psychology of Winning by Dr. Dennis Waitley. This should be coming out in about 3 to 4 weeks. So stay tuned, and I will see you guys soon.